Too late. What here comes? Cigar will win this race, and Cigar just crushed this field today. Jerry Bailey never asked him to run, and he won by 7 devastating lengths. The Oakland handicap, the #1 lead, and it is Cigar who's triumphant wire to wire. A confident and jubilant Jerry Bailey comes home with Cigar.
How do you follow? Are we on? How do you follow that? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jamie Link. I'm the Executive Director of Kentucky Horse Park. On behalf of our staff, it is a pleasure to welcome all of you to our Hall of Champions for this very special occasion. I would like to extend a special welcome to our First Lady, Mrs. Jane Bashir, along with Mr. Bill Mott, Mr. Jerry Bailey, Mr. Wes Lantern, Mr. Jay Hovde, and Mr. Adrian Wallace, from whom we will hear in just a few minutes. Since 1985, when the Hall of Champions was first created, the Kentucky Horse Park has had a unique honor of caring for and sharing some of the greatest thoroughbreds to ever grace the racetrack. One of the greatest was Cigar. While Cigar certainly earned his moniker as America's horse, our relationship with him at the park was much more personal. Over the decade and a half that we were blessed with his presence, he became more than a brilliant athlete. He became a member of our family. Many of us, more than 300 in fact, gathered last in this place almost a year ago on a cold, snowy November day to honor this great champion. And while today's weather may be less than ideal, nothing can dampen the spirit of this occasion. Today, in the shadow of the Breeders' Cup return to the city of its inception, we return, not to mourn, but to celebrate Cigar's life and accomplishments with the unveiling of Dal Bloomberg's remarkable bronze depiction of Cigar's victory in the 1995 Breeders' Cup Classic, which will memorialize Cigar forever. I would also like to recognize the artist, Dal Bloomberg, who's with us today. And it is now my pleasure to introduce the First Lady of the Commonwealth of Kentucky and a great supporter of the Kentucky Horse Park, First Lady Jane Bashir.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank everyone for being here today. You know, this is bittersweet for so many of us that knew of Cigar and followed his career. But this is also a time to celebrate. You know, this is quite a week for Kentucky. It shows that we are truly the horse capital of the world. We're hosting, as you know, the Breeders' Cup Championships right here at Keeneland. This week, the National Horse Show will begin its run. And today, we honor Kentucky's equine heritage with one very special horse. You know, the Kentucky Horse Park has a special place in my heart. I'm a horse enthusiast. And I love the fact that this park shares the love with so many people that come to visit. And many of the folks that come here have horses of their own, and we know how special they are to us. But this horse was special to many, and there were so many that loved him, loved to watch him run, and then were able to see him right here. Cigar is one of those few animals that touch the lives of people all around the world. He was a bit of a slow starter. He did not race at all in his 2-year time. And as a 3-year-old, he won only twice out of 9 starts. But he began to bloom as a 4-year-old under trainer Bill Mott. And boy, did he bloom. Over the course of his career, Cigar won 19 races and earned almost $10 million. He had a winning streak of 16 consecutive races. He won races like the Dubai World Cup in 1996, the Breeders' Cup Classic in 1995, and was Horse of the Year in both 1995 and 1996. Truly, he was a champion by all measures. When he didn't turn out to be a great sire, he did inspire so many of those around him. And when his owners, the Paulsons, allowed him to come to the Kentucky Horse Park to retire, he gained fans even more, all from all around the world. They all came to visit him right here. He became an ambassador for both thoroughbred racing and also for the thoroughbred industry. We were thrilled that Cigar was able to call the Kentucky Horse Park his home. Everyone here loved him. All of the visitors loved him. And today I think you're going to hear from several of those that worked very closely with him. But I'd like to say a special thank you to this artist, Dal Bloomberg. You know, he's a Kentucky artist. We have many talents of many kinds in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. But the beauty of this artist was that he truly knew the horse. So we will be able to see that in this bronze when it's unveiled. So I want you to join me in thanking Dal again for making this effort to immortalize Cigar. Can you join me? Again, thank all of you all for coming. And yes, it's a cold day, but we are all warm in our heart with memories of Cigar. Thank you.
In 1998, Bill Mott became the youngest trainer ever inducted to the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. He also won the Eclipse Award for Outstanding Trainer in 1995, 96, and 2011. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Bill Mott.
I thought I'd talked him into not making me speak today. He kind of forced me into it here. But anyway, it's really a pleasure to be here and an honor to be part of Cigar's memory and what they're doing for him here and with this beautiful bronze that they're going to unveil. Cigar was not only a great racehorse that traveled around the world, he took us along with him, the many people that were involved with him. And the the honor that it was to take him to the different places, from Dubai to Chicago to Boston, to the bigger tracks in New York. So many people really did fall in love with him, and there was such a big following throughout his career, particularly after the winning streak started. And there's so many people that have come up to me in the past and thanked me for bringing him to the different places that we took him to, you know, throughout his travels. And I think one of the biggest things that it gave to us was the people that we met and the people that we have since known and have become good friends, and it's all because of Cigar. And you know, many times we say that some of the horses we train aren't going to change our life, but Cigar was one of those horses that really, truly, indeed changed mine.
In 1995, Jerry Bailey was inducted to the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. Over his career, he had a total of 5,893 wins. He had 2 wins each in the Kentucky Derby, Preakness Stakes, and Belmont Stakes. He's currently the thoroughbred racing analyst for NBC Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jerry Bailey.
So first of all, I'm going to tell you I will not get through this without crying. I want to thank everybody that came out today. Thanks Susie for flying in early. Thank the Paulsons for the great opportunity. Thank Billy for putting me on. I don't know why I was chosen to ride him, but I'm glad I was. I want to thank the horse park for taking such good care of him through all the years in his retirement. I came here practically every year, and it was a highlight of my trip to Lexington, really, and they took great care of him, so thank you guys. I got to see him a couple days before he passed, and he looked great even then. It was in a little discomfort, but he looked great, so I know you guys took great care of him. I mean, so the question I've been asked over the course of time is, what did it feel like to ride Cigar? And it's really hard to explain, but the best analogy I could give you is during the course of a race, it's like pulling up to a stop sign in a Ferrari and looking over the Volkswagen. And that's pretty much the way it was. And as a rider, you know, we feel a lot of pressure sometimes on the favorite, but I never felt like there was not anything he could not do when I stepped on that racetrack. And it's a great feeling for a rider. He made me look great. Chris, Karen was talking, he said he could have ridden him. We both could have ridden him. Many of you could have ridden him and won. That's how great he was. And Billy, you're right. He changed my life. I was never an emotional guy. Horses were a means to an end for me. I wanted to compete as an athlete when I was growing up, and being a jockey was the only way I could realistically do that. And because of the amount of horses that we ride over the course of a year and a decade and a career, you know, the attachment to most of them is impossible. And I never really, I don't think I ever really loved horses. I liked them, I enjoyed them, they were great living for me until Cigar came around. And I spent every moment that I could spare hanging around the barn with him. I would never do that before. And Cigar made me fall in love with horses again. And for that, I love him. So just 2 quick inside stories that you'll appreciate about this horse. Number 1, when I would come to visit him at the horse park here every year, they had a laundry list of rules, what you could do, what you couldn't do, insurance purposes, I suppose. One of them was you couldn't get on a horse. So about the 3rd year I came out here, Tammy walked him out, and I said, would it be okay if I got up on him? And she said, heck no. Let me turn around and you do what you want. So I swung up on him bareback and just sat on him for, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes. And it was the best 2 or 3 minutes I've had in a long, long time. Just one more milestone. And the other story you'll maybe appreciate, I haven't seen the bronze, I don't know if anybody has yet, but in the Breeders' Cup Classic, the final race of his 95 career to remain undefeated, Tom Durkin gave him such a great call, and about moving on the far turn, and there goes Cigar. And the only reason, I was asked, why did I choose to let him run at that point? The only reason I let him run is because I couldn't feel my fingers anymore. He was pulling on me so hard that I was losing the feeling in my hands, and I thought if I held him any longer, that I would drop the whip, drop the reins, and so I just went ahead and let him run, and boy did he look great doing it that day. Great horse. Thank you all for coming. Billy, thanks a million. I'm just blessed to have ridden. Thank you.
Our next speaker, over the years, has been responsible for the care of Hall of Fame horses like Forgo, John Henry, Affirm, Seattle Sleuth, Stormcat, and of course Cigar. It's my pleasure to introduce the Hall of Champions manager, Mr. Wes Lantern.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Kentucky Horse Park to a celebration of the champion and great horse and a friend, Cigar. It has been just over a year now, and with time, for me anyway, the initial sadness has evolved into a feeling of genuine gratitude. I'm grateful that for 4 years and 10 months, I was able to experience the class and greatness of Cigar in what would be his final incarnation as thoroughbred racing's most beloved and available ambassador. He was a horse loved by not only legions of racing fans, from the hardcore OTB bet every race fan to the fan who lovingly collects mementos and makes scrapbooks of their horse. He was respected by generations of horsemen and women, the hog walkers, the grooms, jockeys, and trainers. We held Cigar up to a higher standard. That magical 16 races from October of '94 to August of '96 captured the imagination of all Americans and around the world. It was magical and it was amazing. I'm grateful that we were able to present him to those fans in hard boots who came in droves to see their horse, their hero. It was humbling to see these fans enwrapped and almost reverent just being near him. Grateful because I got to do that almost every day. His presence was palpable, something I've been able to experience with some other horses. I'm grateful that he accepted us in the Hall of Champions into his circle. And while I will always miss our friend, I can look here at the end of the driveway, just feet away from his special place, where every day when he would go to his paddock, he'd run down to that corner and rear to almost vertical. I can look here and remember a very special chapter of my life, headlined by a horse named Cigar. So thank you all for coming on not a Chamber of Commerce Day, and thank you for coming.
Our next speaker is the author of Cigar, America's Horse, Lafitte, All About Winning, Luck, and ESPN Sports Century. He is currently the executive columnist for the Daily Racing Forum. He is married to former jockey Julie Crone since May 27, 2001, and they have one daughter. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Jay Hovde.
Thank you for reminding me when my anniversary is. Jerry wasn't kidding. He he was an emotionless robot until Cigar came to be. Blubbering fest ever since. And I've seen some tears wiped away this afternoon too, and that's the kind of horse Cigar was. He got under your skin. I've never in my life seen a physical thoroughbred athlete that was so distinctive in every regard. And certainly what's going to be captured in bronze, what we're going to be able to see today, is going to be that thrusting forward athlete that we treasured so much while he was racing. I know why you invited me here today is because my wife was the last jockey to lose on Cigar before his 16-race winning streak. She swears, she said to Bill afterwards, "You got to try him on dirt, Bill. You got to try him on dirt." Actually, she just whispered in his ear, "You're better than this." And he proved that. There's people that aren't here today, and Bill, Mott, and Cigar's family that need to be remembered on through the years. Our noses don't run in California anymore, by the way. Excuse me. But certainly, Cigar's family that is as responsible for his greatness as Bill and Jerry and the Paulsons, or people like his groom Juan Campuzano, Bill's assistants Tim Jones, Tom Fawn Abercrombie, Ralph Nix, and the other people at the barn, and Ryder Jerry Gunther, Irma Scott, how could I forget her, and Simon Gray. And then there was one other very special woman named Gilda Libero. Gilda wrote a poem about Cigar, and I've been writing about Cigar for 20 years, and I never wrote anything this good. And it made its public debut behind the barn after Cigar won the race for which he is immortalized, the Breeders' Cup Classics 1995. We made Bill Mott read it that day. We just felt it was appropriate. And Bill already had a good day, so we could get away with it. But I will read it today. I'll spare him, if you wouldn't mind me sharing this with you. I slip the surly bonds of earth, and for fleeting moments fly above the sandy, lone race course, beholden to your eyes. My tail, streaked blonde and silver, leaves a trail of wispy smoke. Its plume does cloud my rivals, on it they seem to choke. My days are spent quite simply, but pleasant all the same. Folks who come from miles around with reverence say my name. With pointed pencils poised, they stand on every word in rapture. Giant eyes zoom in and out, my essence they attempt to capture. I bask in sleepy sunlight and chuckle to myself, for when all the talk is said and done, and judgments handed in, I and those who love me, they know what's there has always been. Eye to eye, who dares look? I capture their reflection. A mirrored gaze reveals their soul, now open to detection. With knowledge of the answer, a question I do ask. Rise up now, so truth be known. Are you equal to the task? He certainly was.
Our next speaker is with nomination sales for Coolmore America. I'd like to introduce Mr. Adrian Wallace.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be invited here to speak on behalf of such a wonderful horse, a horse that we unfortunately didn't play a very important role in. He retired to our farm at the end of 1996 in anticipation of the 1997 breeding season. Ashford at that time was a madhouse. Everybody wanted to come and see Cigar. Everybody wanted to be a part of Cigar. For us, he was equine royalty. He was a horse that was bred by the Paulsons, trained by Bill Mott, ridden by Jerry Bailey, 16 races on the field. I was 12 when he started his 16 race streak. I didn't know much about racing in America. but he was the horse that made me want to come here. He was the horse that made me want to work for Coolmore, and he was the horse that I would say influenced, without a doubt, my career, and indeed I'm sure many of you. A horse that had things been different, he may well have been the sire of a horse like American Pharaoh. The possibilities with this horse were endless. When it came time for him to leave Ashford after he was proven to be infertile, we couldn't have thought of a better place for him to come and for him to be seen by all his fans. This is the perfect place for a horse like Cigar. Thank you very much.
That concludes the speaking part of our ceremony today. I'd like to thank everyone again for coming out on, I think as Wes said, not a Chamber of Commerce day, but it doesn't really matter. It's just like last year with the hundreds that come out to honor Cigar. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to please join us. We walk through the barn, out the walk, and to the left, for the reason we're here today. And Bill Mott and Jerry Bailey will be doing the honors when we get out there. Thank you all for coming.